Hi there, this is Pronoy here from Money 2020. I'm with the Quantiphi booth, booth number 3108. We're looking forward to an extravagant event. I'd like to extend my thanks to the gentleman I have today for the fireside chat with the future of banking future of AI in banking. With me, I've got Malcolm deMayo, Global Vice President of the Nvidia team, and Awhan, who leads our banking business for Quantiphi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. As part of the fireside chat, wanted to get your perspective. It's obviously an awesome event. Gen AI is the talk of the town. Uh, you know, First question, Malcolm, to you. Nvidia obviously at the forefront of cutting edge technology. Want to get your perspective in how AI is driving the future, and what do you think is going to change in the landscape in the next 5 years?
So first of all, it's great to be here with you, Pronoy, and with you, Awhan. Thank you for inviting us to Money 2020. It's great to be here. So generative AI is the talk of the town. And what we're finding is that there's a couple of problems that have been surfaced. One is that most data centers aren't well equipped to run generative AI today. They're, for the most part, running on traditional CPU servers, which, as you guys know, doesn't really work very well. So over the next few years, we're going to see a massive retrofitting in data centers for accelerated compute. It's not just that Gen AI needs the compute horsepower, it's also that there is a real crisis in energy. And the ability to do more with less with accelerated compute, to fit the generative AI into that power envelope that data centers have today, is going to be essential for companies to be able to take advantage of this really game-changing technology. I think the third thing we're going to see the value drivers in finance are going to be productivity improvement, operational efficiency, and revenue generation. And as financial firms develop the capabilities to work with this new technology, because it's new, and right now we haven't even started the game. We're still singing the national anthem. So we're going to see this change how thousands of functions in financial services are done today. We're going to see massive automation, and we're going to see productivity improvements on a scale we haven't seen ever.
Phenomenal. Thanks for that perspective. That's just brilliant to set the stage. I like the theme that you mentioned. We are just at the national anthem. We haven't begun the game. On that note, I'm going to go to Awhan. And Awhan, I know you've been in the industry. We'll share. You've been in the industry. You've heard firsthand from customers. I want you to elaborate a little bit in context to some of the opportunities that we are seeing on the AI side. But what is it? What are some of those challenges that are holding back financial services firms and some of our customers, and the challenges that they face from an ecosystem perspective?
Sure. Thanks, Pronoy, and thanks, Malcolm, for providing all the insights. See, one of the things we have to see, financial services is slightly different from some of the other industries, considering the kind of scrutiny and the regulations that are being enforced upon them. With that context, they have got slightly different kind of problems from other industries. The key one, which I call, is the legacy of the past.
Yeah.
So the legacy of the past is something where there are extremely old, complicated systems which everyone want to change, but there is no roadmap available to change it. So in order to really harness the power of this new technology, banks needs to have this foundational layer available to really make sure that things are working fine, which Malcolm alluded to. And that's where I feel, there is a need, and they have expressed that needs to go to that particular stage, but they are still struggling to move to that foundational layer. So that is a key challenge that they have to overcome. The other part is that, as I said, they are being a heavily regulated industry. The components of risk and compliance is something which is paramount. So any new technologies, even in the past, we have seen with the likes of RPAs being adopted, banks probably would love to adopt it, but there is always an extra bit of scrutiny. How is it going to impact my entire risk environment?
Yeah.
So that is something all of us who are trying to really push these new technologies to the banking and financial services. It is the responsibility is upon us. All the solutions are actually completely compliant from that entire risk perspective, so that banks are much more adaptive to it. And the third most important part is that, see, most of these new technologies have been developed horizontally.
Yeah.
When I horizontally, I say the adaptability of domain-specific initiatives on top of it. But every bank is different. A retail bank is different from a corporate bank, which is different from a capital markets, and each one of them has got its own different unique needs. So I think one of the key components which is going to drive the adoption from the banks is going to be adding those layers of domain on top of this technologies, so that there is much wider adoption of this new technologies across the various segments.
Got it.
But, if I may,
Please.
Awhan, really nice job of explaining. And so I've had a bank executive, a C-suite executive, say to me that our infrastructure is likened to the geological layers of the earth. You can look at each layer and can tell this was 1970, 1980, 1990. And then in terms of where this is all going, Jensen Huang, our founder and CEO, likes to talk about the canonical use case of the future will be a large language model. So customers of financial services firms their first point of contact will be through a chatbot, an LLM-based chatbot. And when you think about this chatbot, it will connect back into all of the applications. One of the cool things about generative AI is that it brings benefits to new applications and it brings benefits to old applications. So this is really going to be exciting.
Awesome. I think you've already preempted my next question. I can see some big themes. If I were to ask you this, right, where do you think customers would place their bets in the future? What would your answer be?
Well, first and foremost, it has to be accelerated compute. But no, just all kidding aside. So when you think about what banks are up to right now, they're fighting for deposits. So customer experience is really top of mind for them. In fact, they're all investing very heavily in it.
Yep.
When you look at the contact centers today, the majority are still a rules-based chatbot and an IVR, and you know they're just hoping that the next available agent, which is 30 plus minutes away, is going to be able to meet the needs of their customer. And when they get their arms around this technology, they'll realize it can automate and answer questions for the majority of the kinds of things that customers are calling in for. They can reserve their agents for advice discussions or product discussions. And when you think about that, instead of the next available agent, generative AI will put the customer in touch with an expert.
And this is a very wonderful point that you mentioned about the way the next wave is going to come about. I think firms like Nvidia have solved to a large extent how you can take tons of unstructured data and really derive intelligence out of it. I think the next inflection point is going to come how you marry tons and tons of structured information that banks are having with the unstructured data that is available over the internet, and really provide that very pointed advice, whether it is you empower the agent or you provide that pointers to the customer. Some of the multiple use cases, like you can authenticate a customer very uniquely and then analyze the transactions that are sitting within the bank and then provide all the insights to that. That is going to be the next wave, I feel, how you marry the structured and unstructured data together and really make a beautiful cocktail out of it.
Awesome. And my last question, and Malcolm, this one's going to be to you. I know you spoke about accelerated compute. There's obviously a lot that Nvidia is doing right out there. As part of our fireside chat, we usually see a lot of us, a lot of practitioners, a lot of leaders who listen to some of our podcasts. I'd like to get from your perspective the Nvidia message out. What is it that leaders should be looking at from an Nvidia perspective, specifically in the financial services domain?
Yeah, Paul, it's a great question. So what we see is Center of Excellence being run today by PhDs, practitioners. First and foremost, put one of your bankers in the COE with them so that they can communicate and close the gap between technology and business.
Yep.
Secondly, you need to start experimenting. You cannot wait on this. You need to start working with the technology and building the capabilities. And third, come visit us in Santa Clara and we'll help educate you.
Awesome. Well, Malcolm, thank you so much for joining us. Awhan, it's a pleasure. We are at Money 20 wrapping up. It's an exciting event. Thank you so much for doing this. We look forward to seeing you soon.